Hello, good morning, everyone. Let me just get a confirmation as to if the audio is proper audio as well as video. Just a moment. Everyone. All right, I think everything is proper. So let's continue. Just a moment. Yep. So, welcome to the first day of financial management revision. So it's a 5-day series. Um, Now, today is just introduction and most importantly, exam tips that you have been waiting for, right? So, firstly, let me introduce myself. I am Paritosh Panchal. Those of you who know me, those of you who are already my students, they know me. I've been teaching FM as well as AFM for the ACCA for the past 6 years. Okay, I'm very passionate, and my students would vouch how helping I am. I love uh, helping people out clear their exams. Okay. Um, so this is a little about me and about Lakshya. Uh, Basically, it's the number one institute of commerce, and we are a ACCA Platinum Certified Learning Partner. You could see our records, consistent basis. We are producing rank holders. So there is a differentiation in our end. Along with ACCA, we also teach CMA US, Indian CAs, Indian CS, even your degree level of qualifications like BCom, all of that. It's just one-stop shop for everything to do with commerce, right? We have different modes of classes. So we have offline for those who prefer physically attending the classes. There is online for those who prefer, watching live Zoom classes. And then we have a hybrid wherein there are pre-recorded sessions, so you can watch as per your convenience. And then there are certain live sessions as well, wherein you can clarify your doubts, if any, right? So, what is the plan for the entire revision session? Well, in the upcoming days, okay, so for 3 days, one day each, we'll be discussing some important topics like the investment appraisal technique, working capital management, cost of capital, and on the last day, so today being the first day, and then there are 4 more days. So first 3 days, the next 3 days, we'll be discussing these topics, and on the last day, we'll be solving a mock paper. In fact, it won't be two mock papers, it will just be one because I don't think we'll be able to solve two papers in one day. So we'll be solving one mock. Um, Now, moving on to the paper pattern for FM. Well, as you all know already, but I'm just revising it. There are 3 hour, it's a 3 hour paper. You are given 10 minutes just to read certain instructions. So in those 10 minutes, you will not be able to read any questions, but just certain instructions. And you will be provided with the formula sheet as well as, and within the formula sheet, you will have the discounting table, the annuity factor table, right? My students already have this formula sheet, but if you are looking for it, you can just find it on the ACCA's website. In fact, I'll show it to you shortly. Now, in the paper, there are three major sections, section A, B, and C. Section A and section B is objective type questions, right? Wherein there are multiple choice questions, as in there will be multiple choices. You have to select which one. Now, remember, section A and section B will be auto corrected by a system, by a computer, right? So there is no half marks over there. You either get zero or you would get full, that is 2 marks, right? So section A has 15 such multiple choice objective questions, 2 marks each. So 15 into 2 makes you 30 marks. And then section B has 3 questions, okay, each containing, so there are 3 scenarios, basically 3 cases. And each of these cases would have 5 questions each. So that is 5 into 3. That is again another 15 questions. And each question's 2 marks each. Right? So that's another 30 marks. So 30, 30, 60, and the balance 40 marks is from the section C, which is a constructive type question. It's a big question. It's a 20 marker question each. So 2 questions, 20 marks each. Now, this question typically has a mix of both calculation as well as theory. So you will have to write a long answer when it comes to theory. Do not worry. We'll be discussing all of these things in detail a little later in today's session. So don't feel that, oh, to begin with, I already know this. Okay, what's the point of this thing? Okay, it's just an introduction. No, we are going to deep dive. We are going to review or go through how to write and answer these theory questions, because I understand a lot of you are facing difficulties in writing theory. In fact, a lot of you are focusing only and only on calculations and not theory. Let me tell you, 50% of the paper by past observation, 50% of the paper is theory. Okay, and that is the major differentiator. That is why a lot of people are not able to clear it in the first attempt, because they ignore theory, and then when they actually give the paper, they realize theory is important, and in the next attempt they will focus on theory. So why reach the second attempt phase? There is time now. Focus on theory as well. Okay. In fact, we have around, I guess, 20 days left, around 3 weeks left with us. Okay. So there is time still available for you to prepare. Again, we'll go through the study plan as well very shortly. Bear with me. So section C comprises of two 20-mark constructed response question. The 220 marks will mainly come from working capital management, investment appraisal, and business finance areas of the syllabus. Business finance and cost of capital. Okay, it's like one topic. So that is why these 3 topics we are going to revise in the upcoming days, right? And so it is a guaranteed question. So just by learning 3 topics, you have prepared yourself for 40 marks in the exam. So you need to work smart now, not hard. Okay. So now keep in mind, like for section C, we said that typically, or it's guaranteed that. Now again, these things I haven't written it from my own pocket. If you see the syllabus, a lot of people do not read the official syllabus. If you open the official syllabus document, all this information is given over there, right? So these 3 topics, section C, and section A and section B questions can cover any area of the syllabus. What is the syllabus? Well, it's divided into these sections. So section A, section B. Do not confuse these sections with exam sections. These are syllabus sections. So syllabus section A, financial management functions. Syllabus section B, financial management environment. Now, the first 2 sections are majorly theory sections, right? Then the next 3, that is syllabus section C, D, and E, which is working capital management, investment appraisal, and business finance, are your most important topics, because you will get a guaranteed section C question from any of the 2 topics out of these 3, right? Along with section C, you could be tested on these topics on section A and B as well. So keep that in mind. So you prioritize these 3 sections first. Okay. Then once you complete these 3 sections, you can move on to the next important topics, which are business valuation and risk management. Typically, we find a question from in section B exam, okay, from these 2 syllabus topics. Again, it's not guaranteed, but this is what past observations have told us, or something that we have observed from the past exams. right? And then you have employability and technology skill. This is basically a few years back. This exam was written on paper and pen, with a paper with a pen. Now, or for quite some years now, the institute has made it completely 100% computer based. So you need to know how to use all the requisite formulas to make your life easy, because at the end of the day, once you are a qualified ACCA, when you go out there in the real world and are working in real companies, you will be using only and only computers. You will not be using a paper and pen very often. So from now only, from the get-go only, the institute is training you to be comfortable using computers, be comfortable typing, be comfortable using spreadsheets and Word docs, right? So that is the last section. Now, um, as I said earlier, we have around 20 days left. Okay, that's about 3 weeks. There is still time. So even if your preparation level is just say 5-10%, you can still very easily clear the paper, right? But you will have to work hard. Give it about 7 to 8 hours a day. Take adequate breaks. So if you are doing 8 hours, 2 hours each session. So there are 4 sessions in which you will be studying throughout the day. You set your hours. Like some people are comfortable studying in the morning, some people prefer the night. I personally would recommend the morning because the brain is rested and you start fresh. So wake up early in the morning, say by 6 o'clock, and start studying and plan your day accordingly. But again, this is just a recommendation. You know yourself better, right? So take 2 days each to do the most important topics. So there are three important topics. You dedicate 2 days each. So that takes about 6 days of yours. And in there, you are doing every day, you are doing three type C questions, two type B questions, and maximum possible type A questions, right? So by doing this, you would comfortably complete complete practicing exam style questions from these most important topics, right? See, now is not the time to go through your notes or go through the study hub anymore. Now is the time to go through quizzes on the study hub, to go through the past papers, to go through the exam kits, right? So, whatever publication you prefer, Kaplan, BPP, um, any publication you prefer, open the exam kit and start solving questions. Now, if you do not know the question, I would suggest read the questions first, go through the solution, close the book, try answering yourself. Okay? That's how, like an open book exam, right? The solution is right in front of you. You go through the solution, you see what is the logic, because see, you've already studied majority of the portion. So you would remember some things, bits and pieces probably, right? And when you look at the solution, it will all come back to you. Oh, yes, we did this. Oh, yes, we did this. Right? So you can just go through the solution, understand how the calculations are done, understand how the answers are written, and then give these questions by yourself. Okay, I'm talking majorly on type C questions, the big ones, right? Type A, type B are relatively easier because they are a multiple choice, and they are shorter calculation because they are just 2 marks each. They may be tricky, but they are relatively less time consuming, right? Per question, when I say. Okay, so you start off practicing section C, 3 questions, then you practice 2 to 3 questions in a day of section C. So you're typically kind of like doing how do I put it? You are kind of like doing one paper, one mock paper, you could say, for that matter, in a day. So if you have 15 or 20 days left, you have technically done around 15, 20 mocks through the exam kit. But I'm coming to mocks, but this is just like a, what do you say, a proxy to a mock, right? So this plan is actually for 15 days. And then the next 5 days, since we have 20 days left, the next 5 days you will just be doing mocks. Okay. So 6 days go into most important topics. The next 4 days go for the next important topics, that is business finance and which was the other one? Risk management. Okay, so business finance and risk management, you will be going through for 2 days each, another 4 days. That means a total of 10 days. Then the balance topics you will take 2 more days, and then I want you to do theory. We'll come to theory part a little later, but it is very, very important. So dedicate 3 days in theory. In fact, a lot of your theory gets covered when you are doing section C sort of questions, because when you are writing section C, like when you're practicing these questions, I do not want you to only practice calculations. I also want you to type those long answers. Very important. It improves your, see, this is the base level for many of you. Okay, so you may not be very, what do you say, comfortable with the keyboard yet. Okay, so I want you to be comfortable with the keyboard. I want you to increase your typing speed. Not completing the reason just because my typing speed is slow is a very sad excuse. It's very unfortunate. You have 20 days with you. You can write down all these, type down rather, these answers, and which will help you increase your speed. Trust me. And when you are solving this, I do not want you to use something like a Google spreadsheet or a Microsoft Excel. I want you to only and only write these solutions on the official CBE platform, practice platform. It's free. You just have to log in. I'm sure you all know. If you don't know, write it down in the comment. It's very simple. You just log in, and then you find out. You go to study resources, and there is one tab called practice platform. You click on it. It will take you to another website, and that's where your practice platform is. Okay. So you need to do the practice only on the CBA. So, yes, 3 days for theory. Now, the ACCA exam support. So, the official ACCA website has a lot of documents that is going to help you in the exam. So, document number one is examiner's reports. Go through the last 4 reports. I'll come to these reports in a short bit. Then you have examining team guidance, you have technical articles and topic explainers, you have exam techniques, wherein the institute is helping you out with exam techniques. We'll go through these shortly. You have the CBE practice platform, very important, and you have this ACCA study hub. I'm sure all of you are already aware of the study hub and have been using the study hub. If you are not, we have another video. I'll just link it in the bio, wherein you can find where the study hub is. Okay. Um, Now, in the study hub, since we have only 15, 20 days, I want you to go through the summary of each and every chapter. I want you to do all the flashcards and all the quizzes. So after every chapter, okay, after the summary, there is a quiz. Give that quiz. Test yourself. Do you know the topic? And it is auto corrected, and all of this is free. The institute, so practice these questions. These quizzes are mandatory. Go through the flashcards. The flashcards are going to help you improve your concepts, because these flashcards are basically, there's a term, and then if you flip the card, you will get the meaning of the term, a little bit of explanation on it. Okay, so you can go on this website, right? Let me just check if the screen is, yeah, the screen is visible. Okay, so this is the website, and this is also if you have the exam team guidance. Okay, so there is a video over here, a short video, 5 minutes with the FM examining team, right? Go through this, go through these articles. Okay. Oh, yeah, this is the pass percentage of FM. So we have on an average 50% pass rate. So you need to ensure that you are amongst those 50% who clear it. And you can, right? So yeah, these are all the syllabus section which so this presentation that I have prepared is a lot of the matter that I've taken is from all these documents. It's not like here there is much more information. I've filtered some information and put it in the presentation. Okay, but I would highly recommend you go through all these tabs, right? You will get the syllabus here. Then you have the study hub over here, how to revise past papers, practice. So from here, you will get the practice platform as well. Okay, so log into the practice platform. You have on the practice platform, you have the specimen exam, practice exam, past exams. All of this is available to you free of cost, wherein you can prepare yourself. You can practice these questions and get them corrected, right? You have technical articles and topic explainers. So these are basically little more elaborations on certain topics, like say, for example, if you want, say, syllabus applying, discuss and apply working capital management techniques. Okay, so more on accounts receivables and management. So if you click this, opens an article which gives you more explanation on uh, what was the topic we clicked on? I forgot. Yeah, accounts receivables management. So on accounts receivables management, you have a lot more information available, more examples. So if there are certain topics which you want more explanation, most likely you will find that explanation over here and the concepts will get more clear to you. So these articles are super important from a clarity point of view, right? Then you have examiner's report. I'm coming to examiner's report very shortly because it is super, super, super important document for your preparations. Then you have your exam techniques, your mock exams which have been released. So all of you are giving a paper in December. So you have a pre-December mock available. See, once you're logged in through your ACC account, when you just click on this link, you will be redirected to the pre-December mock question. Okay. And a solution is also provided by the institute. So you can always self-correct. Section A, section B will be auto-corrected. Section C, you will have to self-correct. Right? FAQ. So all these things are very important. You have the formula sheet over here. So if you don't know what formulas are going to be available in the exam, you can just download this and you can go through what all formulas are available, the discounting factor available, and the annuity factor table available. Right? Now, examiner's report. So when you go through the examiner's report section, you will find so many reports. So I've already downloaded some reports for you, like the latest report over here. Okay, financial management, March and June 23. That is the latest available, right? See, March and June 23. This is what I've downloaded and opened over here. Like that, you will have many more such reports. Now, typically in a report, what all do you find? Well, general comments. Section A, there are 4 questions. Section B, there are a few questions from section B. So it's basically one case study they have taken and explained 5 questions from it. Okay, because each case study would have 5 questions. There are 3 cases and 5 questions each. Then in section C, they have discussed 2 questions from that, right? So they have kind of discussed almost little more than 50% or a little more than 60% of a paper. okay, is already discussed in this report. What are they discussing? They are discussing the past mistakes of students, the past tricky parts, okay, something that students found challenging. And this is from an examiner's point of view, that this is from an paper checker's point of view, right? They have been correcting the papers, and this is their observations that these are the common mistakes students have made. These are the common things that students did very well. And these are certain tricky questions which they decide to discuss in this particular report. How the answer was to be written, what were the common mistakes which are highlighted. So the examining team shares their observation. Let me just zoom this in so it's a little more clearer for you. Okay, just a moment. Yeah, I think it's visible now. So the examining team shares their observations from the marking process to highlight the strengths and the weaknesses in candidates' performance and to offer constructive advice for those sitting in the exam in future. Okay, so you can go through these reports. Um, Keep in mind, it's a good practice because all these are also available on your practice platform. So if you want to read the full questions and the requirement, you can find it on the ACCA practice platform. Okay, so if you just click on this URL, you will be redirected. So the moment you click on this, you get redirected to the website. Okay, let me just go back. Right. Keep in mind that this is a very good way to help you prepare for your exam. Okay. So something like this, I'll just take one question for example. Now this is a section A question. There may be a lot of people who made mistakes over here, so probably that's why they have decided to discuss this particular questions. Okay. So directive company finance, its finances its working capital with an overdraft at a cost of 7% per year. Its major supplier offers a discount of 0.5% for settlement of invoices after 10 days rather than the usual 30 days. So it's a early settlement discount. So typically you get a 30-day credit period, but if you pay within the 10 days, you will get 0.5% discount on the final invoice. Assume a 365 days in a year. Now we have a formula for this. Okay, so you can very easily use the formula and get your solution. However, that formula is a little tricky, and keep in mind that particular formula is not available in the formula sheet. Okay. So anyways, let's go through the options that we have since this is a question from section A. So you have multiple choices. So there are 4 choices available. Which statement correctly explains what directive company should do? Now, it is very important to spend time reading questions, okay, and understanding what is asked. Sometimes in the paper, you may have to mark 2 statements. So keep in mind, over here, they just say which statement. So one single statement we have to select. So option A, pay in 10 days because at 9.1% per year, the benefit of the discount exceeds the cost of overdraft. Option B, pay in 30 days. That is, you're not availing the discount because at 9.1% per year, the discount is more expensive than the overdraft. Option C, pay in 30 days because at 6.1% per year, the benefit of discount is less than cost of overdraft. Option D, pay in 10 days because at 6.1 per year, the discount is cheaper than overdraft. Okay, so there are 2 benefit figures that arises from the options, sorry. Uh, so one is 9.1% and one is 6.1%. So when we do our calculation, we could either get 9.1 or we would get 6.1, right? Now, what is this evaluating? It's just, what is it testing? It's just testing the benefits of early settlement discount. So that is the topic that is being tested. Now, what is the correct answer? It's option A. How did we get it? Using the formula. So this is our discount percentage into total number of years. We are basically kind of annualizing that rate. Okay. Divided by 20. Okay, 20 is how early you are paying. Now, many people who would, slightly forget the formula or have not practiced it would have a tendency to do divide by 30. Why? Because you have 30 days. Nowhere is 20 days mentioned. They said you have to pay 10 days. So some may take 10, some may take 30 for whatever logic they have used. But we have to do the days remaining or the days paid earlier. So how early did you make the payment? Typically, you would get 30 days, but you made the payment within 10 days. That means you paid 20 days early. Okay, now see, I'm not going to explain everything over here. So I am under the assumption you know the formula. Okay, if you don't know, you can go through my notes, and I'm sure my students would remember. And others, well, whatever preps you have done, I'm sure you would have done this formula. If not, go through your respective notes and just go through the theory, understand all of this. And but the main thing to remember is we have to do earlier, the days paid earlier, not the credit period available. So credit period available would be 30 days, but we paid early by 20 days. And therefore, we get our annual benefit of discount. We are annualizing it basically is 9.1%, right? So, yeah, this is how you can use your examiner's report. So many questions. So in a way, you can, as I said, around 60-70% of the past papers you are solving through this method. Okay, so the examiner's report is super crucial to your preps, right? Now, let me just a moment. Uh, yeah, okay. Um, so examiner's report content, we already saw, went through the report. So as you saw, there was a constructive guidance. There is section A, 4 questions, section B, 1 question, and section C is a constructed response question, 2 questions each. Now, if you go through all these questions, guidance is provided, especially section C. Okay, let's just go through a section C sort of question. Just go back here. Just click on. Okay, so the question is available and the commentary is available. Calculate the theoretical X right price per share. So this is the requirement, how to answer it, what are the calculations, what are the common mistakes that people would do, right? And then there would be guidance on theory sort of answers as well. Wait, let's see. Discuss the views of the directors and both the small and large shareholders in relation to the new project and its financing. So this is a theory style question where you have to discuss certain things. Now, we haven't read the question, but just see. So candidates needed to relate to the whole scenario provided in addressing this discursive requirement and needed to structure the answer around the 3 stakeholders. Good answer should take each stakeholder's views and discuss the effect of right issues from their respective point of view. Okay, so probably there's a question on right issues from the point of view of directors, from the point of view of a small shareholder, from the point of view of a large shareholders. These are the different stakeholders that they have explicitly asked you to discuss their views. So you have to present your answer in that way, wherein you are putting a heading from the viewpoint of the directors, from the viewpoint of a small shareholder, from the viewpoint of a large shareholders. So, for example, the director's concern was with the gearing levels and whether the new investment would result in reduction in gearing, especially in relation to the industry average. This is very related to the question. When you read the question, you will get clarity as to what gearing levels have they been talking about. right? So you cannot just take all pros and cons of a right issue from the point of view of a director and just copy paste it in the solution over here. It has to be very specific to what is the requirement. Again, all these things more in detail we'll be discussing today a little later, right? So all those detailed explanation I have picked up from these things only. But that is just probably one report I must have picked it up from. So like that, there are so many reports and you will better your quality of answers and you will better. Uh, I'll tell you a fact that if you just write one point, like if you write pointers from the viewpoint of the director, hearing level impacted, one bullet point, that's it. No explanation, nothing. You will get 0 marks for it. You won't even get half mark for it. Previously, they used to give half a mark, but now, as per the new guidelines, examiners are instructed to give 0 marks for bullet points. Okay, more on it a little later. So, long story short, go through these reports. It is super, super crucial for your preparation. And in this report, as I said earlier, around 60-70% of the paper you are solving. And this is right from the institute, right from the main paper checkers, their observation. So it's a very important document. Okay. Now, why use CBE practice platform? So, see, first was the examiner's report, very important. Second most important, or I would say equally important, is practicing only on the CBE platform. Firstly, you need to practice. Let's get that very clear. Okay, practice will help you gain that confidence. You know, a lot of students have this anxiety. See, exam anxiety is a very real concept. It's just not you. It gets to the best of us. Happened to me. Okay, I used to be nervous before my exams. It happens. But how can you reduce it? You can reduce it when you're confident. See, when are you nervous? When are those negative thoughts coming in your mind? Because you're not confident, right? You're like, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. Oh, I don't know this, I don't know that. But if you practice exam style questions, you have already seen so many questions that come in the exam that have rather come in the past exams. You have gone through 4 reports. You have done so many questions on from the exam kit. You have solved so many questions from the past papers, from the practice questions which are available on the practice platform. You have done all of that. So the exam is just another paper for you. It's just another set of questions which you have already been doing for the last 20 days. That is in the following 20 days. So at the point of exam, you're like, okay, I've done these sort of questions. I'm very familiar with the format. I'm very familiar with the user interface. I'm very familiar with the CBE platform because it is the exact interface you're going to get in the exam. It will help. So practicing on this platform will help you stimulate the actual exam, right? You will get familiar with the UI, the formats, all the different tools, how to flag, how to use the spreadsheet, what are the functionalities available on the on-screen calculators, how to use that calculator, how to use the scratch pad. Now keep in mind the scratch pad is never viewed, so you can on your scratch pad you can write things in short also. It's for you alone. It's a scratch pad. It's like a rough paper, right? So you can write things in short. What will be viewed is your spreadsheet and your word processor. Now, spreadsheet word processor is more relevant to section C, whereas in section A and B, your on-screen calculator as well as your scratch pad are more relevant. Now, both of these won't be looked into because section A and B is auto-corrected by the system, right? And flagging, very important. Questions you do not know, just flag and move ahead, right? Do not spend more time in a question In fact, do not spend a minute also in a question which you are not very confident about. Just move on. Play to your strengths. Okay, more on it a little later. And this will also help you improve your typing speed. You will get familiar with certain shortcuts. You will get familiar with how to make certain statements bold. You will get familiar with how to highlight certain statements or highlight the final answer. Right? So it is very, very, very crucial for you to practice only and only on the CBE practice platform. Right? Now, best things you can do to ensure passing the exam. Do not ignore any topic. We cannot predict or judge these things. You can get a question from anywhere. Okay, I understand a lot of you may be skipping topics, but I request you do not do that, please. It can come, like, for example, Islamic finance. A lot of you would just skip it, but it has come. In fact, I think last or last to last paper, there was a question on Islamic finance. You can go through. When you go through the reports, you'll find out. There will be one report which has, at least when you do the last four reports, one of them has Islamic finance for sure. Go through it. So you never know. And I think that question came for some 5 or 6 marks. So it's full of surprises. Do not ignore any topic. If you ignore a topic and it comes in the exam, you will panic, and that is going to affect your mindset, right? And you will lose not only that mark, but since it's affecting your mindset, you will lose the other marks, or you may lose the other marks as well. Right? So go through the topics. Even if you are able to write 1 or 2 points, instead of getting a 0, you would get at least 2 marks. And many people fail just by a mark also. Right? Manage your time. My suggested timing would be spend 50 minutes section A, section B 50 minutes, and section C 80 minutes. Okay, that's 20 minutes per question in section C. Right? Do not exceed these timings. So when you do your mock, so for 15 days, you have done all the preps. Last 5 days, you are doing only and only mocks on the ACCA platform, the practice platform, or the CBE platform. Just doing mocks, mocks, mocks. Now, when you are doing mocks, I want you to time yourself. Set a 50-minute timer on your phone or your watch, right? And start section A. See, are you completing it in 50 minutes or not? Or instead of a timer, just have a constant, because you won't be able to use a timer in the exam. So I would suggest just keep an eye on the watch, note what time, and I want you to do the mocks at the same time that you have your exam. So say, for example, if you have your exam at 9 a.m., I want you to attempt all the mocks only at 9 a.m. so that your body gets used to a 9 a.m. exam, right? Um, do mocks on the CBE platform, as I said, and read the last 4 examiners report. This is bare minimum that you need to do so that you ensure. So you need to have a time management strategy, a plan. You need to have a plan that which section you want to give first. Now there are different suggestions. I personally suggest doing section C first because it's a big question. Your mind is fresh, so address the elephant in the room first. Okay, get over with it. And typically, at least my observation is that section C questions are relatively simpler. Since the questions are big, more information is given. More, so there are less tricks over there, less tricky part or distractors in section C. Okay, it's pretty straightforward sort, and again, it's from 3 topics which your prime focus is on. So these are your 3 strong topics already. So play to your strengths and attempt section C first. Get those 40 marks early on. right? And then move on to section A and section B. Okay. So that is just my suggestion. You could also do section A first and then move on to section C. But keep in mind, whichever section you do, you only spend the stipulated time. See, does not mean that, oh, section C is so big that you get lost in the question and you take beyond 80 minutes. You end up taking, say, 90 or 100 minutes in section C. That means you are going to get less time for section A. So if you are writing a certain answer, so now you know that per question in section C, you have 40 minutes per question. Okay. So 40 minutes, a 20-mark answer you are giving. Now, the moment 40 minutes are over, move on to the next question, section C, right? Do not spend more than 40 minutes on that one question, because maybe there is only 5 marks left to be scored in that particular question, but the time you are taking, the extra time you are taking is 10 minutes, which is going to eat away from another section wherein you could have scored more. So stop at 40 minutes, move on to the next question, stop at 40 minutes, move on to the next section altogether. So section A. Then you are timing yourself again. Okay, 50 minutes. You do this technique for 5 mocks, and then you will get used to this technique. And by default in the exam, this technique would be initially to do this technique, like continuously have a what you are not habituated to look at the time, right? But if you have broken down your time, okay, 9 a.m. I start the exam, 20 minutes. So 9 to 9:20 I have to spend in the first question of section C. 9:20 to 40 minutes, not 20. Yeah, so 9 a.m. to 9:40 I have for first question of section C. And then the next 40, so 9:40 till 10:20 I have for question number 2. So write it down. So that is right in front of you. Do all the calculation, write the timelines down for you, and you can apply this in the mocks, and it will come naturally to you in the actual exam. Time management is very important. A lot of students do not end up clearing because they do not complete the paper on time. When they come back saying that, oh, I attempted only 75 marks, or I could attempt only 80 marks, and then when the results come, they get maybe 45, 48, 49. Did as a percentage, marks attempted and marks scored, as a percentage you may have cleared, but they are not going to check whether, oh, you just attempted 80-mark question. No, they are going to mark you out of 100. So from their point of view, you scored only 49 and you haven't cleared the paper. So it is your loss. This is a very, very, very common thing. So please have a plan, have a time management plan. It is going to help ensure you pass. Doing all topics is going to help ensure you pass. Doing mock papers, doing past papers, and solving them on the CBE platform, getting familiar with the CBE platform is going to help you pass. Going through examiner report is going to help you pass. These are common things which a lot of students do not do. Many students ignore topics. Many students don't have a time management plan in place. They are just going with the flow. Many students are just so busy going through their notes only, going through presentations, going through study text, study hub, that they just don't have consider only practicing or doing mocks. And examiner reports, many people don't know this, right? So these are those. So the points, see, there are many more things, but these are the points that I have highlighted, which is most oftenly missed by students, right? Common mistakes: reading questions in a hurry. So you are not reading the requirements properly. Sometimes, you are asked price per share, but you end up finding price value of the company. Okay, you forget to divide it by the number of shares, right? So read the requirements. Sometimes you are asked to mark two answers in the MCQ, but you end up marking only one. And as I told you, it's system corrected. So you will either get 0 or full 2. There is no that, okay, you had to mark two statements, you marked only one. Well, you're not going to get 1 mark, you're still going to get 0. So read the question, read the requirements clearly. Okay. Another common mistake is not practicing on the CBE platform. I am harping on the CBE platform. I know it's repetitive because it is important. I have harped on the examiner's report also in 2 slides. I've mentioned about examiner's report. In fact, 3 slides because it is important. It is on purpose these things are repeated. Right? Mistakes in denomination are another very common mistakes that they just write the number. Okay, NPV is equal to sometimes they'll just end at 15. But what you calculated was in millions. So it is $15 million. What is 15? Is it pound? Is it dollar? Is it euro? Write the currency down. Is it 15%? Denomination is very important, which a lot of people ignore. In fact, even in the question, certain figures are given in thousands, certain figures are given in million. So you need to have a common denomination when you're calculating your answer. And you will catch your own mistakes when you practice. When you're practicing, you are going to make mistakes. From those mistakes, you will learn. So make mistakes in your practice sessions, not in the main exam, the final exam. Okay? Make mistakes, learn from your mistakes so that you do not repeat those mistakes in the exam. And along with your mistakes, you are also aware of the common mistakes made by other students in past papers through the examiner's report. Skipping topics and ignoring theory, not completing the paper, all these are common mistakes, okay, which concur with whatever things you are to do to ensure passing, right? Do not ignore theory. 40 to 50% of the exam is theory. Read theory to understand, just understand the concepts. You need not by heart anything, you need not memorize anything because the questions are situational and logical. Just a simple copy paste of whatever you have by hearted is not going to achieve anything. Read your notes, read the study hub, use flashcards. All this is going to help you understand theory. In fact, do all theory questions from the practice kit or the exam kit. Okay, all those section C questions, all those MCQs which are theory based, do it. Right? In fact, I would say do that first because now you don't have much time, as in you have only 20 days left. So do theory through the exam kits, through those section A, section B, section C questions that have come in the past. See how the theory, what sort of theory questions came, how these answers are answered, write them down, improve your speed. Okay. Now, learn theory and techniques, not the answers in your final. Like, don't go through, okay, you may have practiced, say, 3 questions on NPV or say 3 questions on WAC. And all the 3 questions always had cost of debt also available. They had cost of preference shares also available. Or maybe they just, all the 3 questions that you did had only cost of equity and cost of debt. There was no preference share. But in the question that comes for you, there's cost of preference share as well. So if you just start memorizing whatever you have done, then you would forget. You won't even bother. You will like, oh yeah, I know it. Okay, I have to find cost of equity. Oh, you read the requirement. So yeah, the one thing before we proceed with this, one thing I suggest to all my students is in the exam, when you read question, you start with requirements first. Okay, especially the big questions, you start with requirements first. Read the requirements so you have a sense of direction. Okay, this is a question on WAC. I need to start identifying variables that is going to help me calculate cost of equity, calculate cost of debt. Now, cost of equity, I know there are 2 methods, either the DVM or the CAPM. So when I'm reading the main question, I understand, okay, these are the variables I'm looking out for. Okay. And then you can identify these variables, write a financial summary of that question in number form so that you do not have to each time refer to the big question or navigate through the question. Right? You already have the financial summary on your spreadsheet available. Remember, copy paste functionality is available, so you need not write the entire information manually. You can always copy paste figures and write. But all of this, only when you practice, you will get comfortable doing. Right? So, topics like WAC and NPV, understand how the calculations are done, understand how the formula is, what the process is, what are the steps that you follow. Okay, for questions like on CAPM, understand concepts. You may need to explain concepts like why in the CAPM the shareholder, see, CAPM is a method of finding the cost of equity or the required return of equity shareholders. So why do they need to be compensated only for systematic risk? What about unsystematic risk? So then you can explain the concept that there is something known as portfolio theory, wherein and CAPM assumes that the investors have a diversified portfolio, and diversified portfolios will diversify the unsystematic risk. So they need to be only compensated for systematic risk. Therefore, we take only beta, and that beta is a measure of systematic risk and not unsystematic risk. Right? So there could be a question like that, something like IRR or NPV or other different payback period, different techniques of investment appraisal, pros and cons could be asked. Definitions could be asked of, say, for example, Islamic finance. Okay. Um, Now, how to answer these theory questions? Do not use bullet points. You are not going to score any marks there. Use full sentences and paragraphs, right? Read the requirements clearly, pay attention to the verb being used in the requirement. Have they asked you to identify, describe, or comment? In which case, you can write short sentence, it will suffice. You could write one or two sentence, it is fine. If they are using words like explain, discuss, or critically discuss, then more explanation is required. You will have to write a few lines on it. Okay. Also, you will get an idea through the marks, what is being asked, whether it's a 2 mark question, whether it's a 5 mark question. So accordingly, you can write. If it's 2 mark question, you can write 2 points. Again, not points, but proper full sentences. Okay. With explanation, just 2 full-fledged sentences, and you are fine. Right. So the suggested format for a theory question would be, first state the point. Okay. Then explain the point, right? Well, like, for example, why is this? Why is the point that I'm making? Okay, it is because of this. And then give an example. So illustrate the point using the given scenario, or give your own example. So you can relate this point to something that is there in the question, or you can give your own example. So, for example, um, if the question is critically discuss the usefulness of IRR as an investment appraisal method, and it's a 5 mark. Okay. So, right, we have to discuss the usefulness of IRR. So, we are discussing the pros and cons, right? So, normally what students will do, the benefits or the pros of using IRR, and will give the points. So, one point would be, it is easy to understand by the managers. And then you just stop over there. No, you're not going to get much marks for that. In fact, you're going to get 0 marks for that bullet point that you just wrote. It is easy to understand by the managers. Why is it easy for the managers to understand? Okay, so that is the explain point. Always think because and why. So you're thinking, why is it important for the managers to understand IRR easily? Because they are familiar with relative measures such as percentages. For example, inflation rate, interest rates. Now, sometimes you give example, even if you do not give an example, okay. But if it is there in the question, like for example, something very relevant is there in the question, that you can use as an example. Like maybe in the information, they would say that managers find it difficult to understand, say, payback period or whatever. Something specifically has been written that you can use then in example. That it is not a whole number, like, or it's not something like sensitivity, and no, sensitivity again is a percentage. So whatever, you can say it is not as difficult as NPV, maybe the calculation part or whatever. Okay, so you use that as an example. So for here, you could very well just stop that they are familiar with relative measures such as a percentage. So the answer will be, now it's 5 marks. That means you have to highlight 5 points, 5 pros. Okay, because they are asking us for the usefulness. Why is IRR useful? So you are writing the 5 advantages of IRR, right? So you will write, so your 1 point would be, it is easy to understand by the managers as they are familiar with relative measures such as a percentage. You can stop your answer there also. Or the third point, you can further continue giving an illustration. Okay. So state the point, explain the point, and illustrate the point using scenario if asked. Oh, this is like a repetition of, okay, just a repetition, right? Um, Now, so examining team comments. Now, this is from one of the reports that I picked up. Professional presentation, that is, use full sentences and not pointers. Address requirements asked, not what you want. Okay, which means whatever requirements are asked for, you address those. If they are asking for the value of the company or value of the bond, okay, per bond price, then you find that, not the total value of the debt. If they are asking you something per share basis, you find per share basis. Do not end answers in what you have typically have been practicing and oh, this is what they want. No, they don't want what you feel they want. So read that requirement clearly, address exactly the points that they have asked for, right? Plan your answers using headings to split requirements. Like, for example, say that question we just saw in the the examiner's report. They asked us to see through it from the point of view of different stakeholders, like the directors, like the minority share or small shareholders, large shareholders, from their point of view. So write it, the effect of right issues from director's point of view, right issues from small shareholders point of view. So you could write that like as a paragraph. Okay, so heading is there and then you are writing a sentence over there. Again, not bullet points, okay, full sentences. Detail of number of points should reflect the marks. So how much do you write is depending how much detail you are giving to each point that you are making would be based on the marks. So if it's a 2 mark, you could just write 1 or 2 sentence and you can stop there. It's a 5 mark, write 5 sentences, right? Certain tips: attempt all the questions, easier marks first, right? And flag the harder ones. So what I mean is, say for example, you are reading section A questions, okay? Small questions, 2 marks each. You read a question, you find the moment you read, you understand, okay, this is something that that is not your strong point. So what will you do? Just flag it and move on. In fact, if it is section A and B, I would personally suggest mark some random answer, flag it, and then move on. So that you know that this particular answer, I haven't given any thought. I've just marked something and moved on. Why? Because I don't want to spend time on my weakness. I would rather score my easy marks first. So, what are the easy questions? Okay, your investment appraisal, your working capital, your cost of capital, business finance, all of those are strong points. Question comes from there. For sure you can easily calculate it. Score those first. And the difficult one, say for example, you haven't done risk management. Example, which is important topic. But for example, you are not very confident in risk management. What will you do? Oh, this is risk management. I read the question. See, it's a small question, so you can quickly read through the question and you'll realize that no, I don't want to spend time thinking over it because this is not an easy one for me. So I'll mark some random answer because you have a 1/4 probability of being right. You mark a random answer, flag it, move on. And then you have maybe last 10 minutes left. You go back to the flagged questions. Excuse me. You go back to the flagged questions and you will start doing calculation or whatever. Then you spend time on it. The reason why I asked you to mark something on random and then move on is if in case you do not have time left at the end of the paper, then at least you have a 1/4 probability of being right just by being lucky. You have randomly just marked something. And I would suggest without using much of your head, don't just go through the option looking at what are there. Just probably randomly everything that you are trying, say option A, the end. You're just marking A and moving on. Because otherwise, what is going to happen? You're going to spend time looking at reading through the options also. So already you have spent maybe a minute reading the question. Now you will spend another minute reading options available. So then you would say, no, I don't want to attempt only this question. So I'm not going to spend a single second more on this question. Mark something, move on. Flag, mark, flag, move on. It's a 3-step process. And then review those flagged ones later. Read and understand questions properly. Again, this is a repeat because it is important. Understand the requirement, address the requirements. In section C, write down all available information. So it's like your financial summary. So you have, say for example, risk-free rate available. So you write RF equals this. Okay, you have market premium. So RM minus RF, that is the premium. Okay. Or if you have only market returns, so you will write RM. But if you have the premium, you write RM minus RF is this much. You have beta, you write it this much. You say, for example, you have proxy beta, write that. You have, say, interest coupon rate, write that. So it's like a financial summary. All the numbers which is given in the question that you are writing it with a label that what is this number. So that when you are doing your calculations, it becomes easy for you to sell reference also. You can just take numbers from there. Now, if you have to find cost of equity, well, all information is above. So all you have to do is equal to select the relevant cells and do the formula. Get your answer. Becomes easy. You need not retype anything, or you need not go through the question that, oh, what was what was the coupon or what was the beta? Where is that information available? Again, you will have to navigate the question. So you are saving that time. Repetitive navigation through the question, you are saving that. How? By making a financial summary. Okay, this is specific to section C since the questions are big. Label and head, label everything and give proper headings. Important. So your presentation wise, professional presentation. Working note 1, calculation of cost of equity. Working note 2, calculation of cost of debt. Working note 3, calculation of WACC. Okay, do those. Leave one row between cost of equity, then one row left, then cost of debt, one row left, WACC. Presentation, nice, clean. Make, because see, understand, the paper checker is going through so many papers. Okay. If your presentation is nice, the paper checker will be in a better mindset while correcting your paper and may be a little lenient when it comes to theory, because understand, theory marks are at the discretion of the paper checker. So they could give a little, because since you have made their life easier by highlighting the final answer, by giving proper headings, you're making their life easier. They won't miss out on the point. If it is all jumbled up, if paragraphs are not written, breaks are not there, headings are not there, they would not know, oh, did this person write also from the viewpoint of a large shareholder, or is it just they wrote from viewpoint of directors and shareholders in general? Bifurcation is not there. They don't have time to read. They just maybe read a few points here and there, and they said, okay, I won't give full marks, I would give maybe less marks. There is a possibility of all these things. Okay. uh, Typically doesn't happen, but if it's all jumbled, there may be a chance they'll miss out on something that you have written. Okay, so if it's clearly presented, there is no chance they are going to miss it. Otherwise, there is still a small, like if you write a jumble, there's a small percentage. Typically, they won't, but small percentage. Why take that risk? Is it going to consume more time of yours? How much more? It's to write a heading. It's going to take you probably less than 30 seconds, right? But the impact it has is more. Have a positive mindset. Very important. How do you have that positive mindset? I've already explained. When you plan things out, when you have your time management plan, when you have your study planned out, the next 20 days, how am I going to, the next 3 weeks, how am I going to ensure that I complete all topics, practice, do mocks? What is my strategy, my plan? In that plan, there is practicing. When you practice, you're like, okay, I know I can easily solve questions, type C questions from any of the three topics that they have mentioned. Easy, because why is it easy for you? Because already you have done six questions from each topic. 3 questions a day you are doing, or 2 questions a day, even if you do. Okay, so you have done so many questions already that you are comfortable, and you will realize that many of these questions are kind of repetitive, as in the what do you say, steps are very repetitive in nature. Now, if you have done 5 questions on calculating CAPM, you very well by now know how CAPM is calculated, as in cost of equity is calculated, or expected return of shareholders is calculated. Not even 5, even if you do 3 questions, you know. And then if you get a question on CAPM, you are very confident about it. Your mindset is positive. So to have a positive mindset, it is super important to plan and practice. Okay. So to end this session, do not skip any topic. Practice will make you perfect. Learn from your past mistake. Believe in yourself. Be confident. Have a positive approach. Have a positive mindset. I believe in you. You can do it. You got it. Any help, assistance, whatsoever, I'm always there. You can write it in the comment. If not me, someone from my team will get back to you, will reach out to you and get your doubts solved. We'll try our best to help you all out. All the very best for the exam. 20 days are there. Kill it, ace it. You're gonna do super well. Okay, provided you follow all those things that we discussed today. So I'll see you tomorrow, same time, and we'll discuss investment appraisal techniques. So again, now in one day, we won't be able to complete the entire topic. What we'll do is probably pick up one small topic from investment appraisal, go through that topic, and maybe even solve one question on that topic. Okay, so you get an idea what sort of question can be asked, like from an exam point of view. Okay, so you get a better understanding how to solve it, how to go about it, all of that, you get an idea. But again, it won't be the exhaustive topic, it will be just a part of that topic that we are doing. Okay, so thank you all for your time. I hope I was able to add some value today, and I hope this was helpful. I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you. Good day. Bye bye.